and these dry bones live again? One of the great questions in Scripture. And people throughout the generations have taken great encouragement from passages like this, that the word of the Lord does not abandon those dry bones in that weary valley. Have you ever gotten a call on the phone that you weren't expecting, but that you were so happy to get? It's very different than a call you've been waiting for and wasn't coming, and then the person finally called. Not every call is the same. A call that you weren't expecting, but that you're so happy you get, has something about it, an intangible quality that sets it apart. Because when you're not expecting the call and it comes, at first you have to process it and think, why is this person calling it? Is it this? Is it that? Right? But then when you find out that it's something good or something that you didn't even know you wanted, there is a level of satisfaction and joy that you can't really replace. You can't manufacture that kind of an experience. Versus if you've been waiting for someone to call you or wanting someone to call you and they weren't doing it, when they call, it's almost like it's part relief, but you're also a little bit agitated, like, well, why did it take you so long to call me? I've been waiting for this, right? So it tempers the joy. Have you ever gotten a gift for no reason? Not all gifts are created equal. If you've ever gotten a gift for no reason, it's very different than when you get a gift that you're expecting, right? Like in my family, when you have a Christmas coming up or a birthday, people ask for a list. They want to know, like, what's on your wish list, right? And so when you get one of those gifts, but something that you put on your wish list, there's like a joy. It's nice to get those, right? There's a joy there. But a gift you weren't expecting and didn't know was coming has a certain quality to it that you can't replace. This person was thinking about you, saw something, and wanted you to have it. There's a quality to that you can't really manufacture, right? Not all gifts are created equal. Have you ever gotten a paycheck that you weren't expecting or money that surprised you? That's good money, right? Versus something that you knew was coming but was delayed. When it finally shows up, you've probably pre-spent it either in your mind or in reality, and then you just sort of are just relieved that it came. A couple of years ago, I wrote a book with my friend and mentor, and I wasn't expecting, I didn't know how it would sell that first year. I'd never written a book before. I didn't know how royalties work. And one day, a royalty check shows up from the publisher in my mail. It was like the coolest thing, because I didn't write the book to make money, right? I wrote the book because I wanted to be in conversation with my friend and to put this out into the world. So when this royalty check showed up, it was like the happiest 48 hours. It was just incredible. It wasn't that much money, but it was like fantastic money, not only because I didn't know it was coming, but because, of what it was. And then 2 days later, turns out I got a speeding ticket I also didn't know was coming. Apparently, I'd been driving fast and the camera caught me, but you don't always know that it got you. And ironically, the ticket and my royalty check were $2 apart. But for 2 days, man. Not all calls are the same. Not all gifts are the same. And not all money is the same. There is a quality to faith that I have become very aware of as I have been on my journey and as I have encountered other people who are on different journeys. And I realized that for some people, faith is something that they have inherited. Maybe you were raised Methodist. Maybe you were raised in this church, and that faith has been something that you inherited. It's like a blessing, and it came to you not as a self-contained unit, but as a largely determined thing. And it was handed to you. You were raised up into it. You followed the pattern, and it sort of works for you. And so a lot of people, when I talk to them, are sort of lifelong Methodists or lifelong whatever it is they were raised in. And it works for them at some level. There are other people, and I think Matt was alluding to this at the table, for whom there was a crisis. And whatever faith you had been raised in or you had before sort of came to an end, right? Either in a whimper or in a fire or a crash, but whatever it was, it came to an end. And so you had to, in a sense, re-choose to believe or to practice faith. And then there's a third group of people for whom, present today, maybe are more aware of what they don't believe these days than what they do. They would have a tough time coming up with like a statement of belief, but they're pretty clear on what they don't believe. Not all faith is created equal. Like not all gifts are created equal. Not all calls are created equal. Faith can look very different in different phases of our life. So around here, we're getting ready to enter into a Lenten journey that we're going to be talking through some ideas that come out of a book called Faith After Doubt. And I just want to be really clear about one thing today as I sort of introduce this series. That for me, doubt isn't a costume that you try on and pretend with. For me, doubt is a very real part of faith. But in many ways, it has been presented to us as an unwelcomed season, as an unfamiliar endeavor, maybe even as an illness that we want to get over and get back to something. Health, faith. One of the dangers in churches is that we have this yearly cycle, this liturgical calendar. And so we come up on things like Good Friday, which just the very name Good Friday is so weird, right? People always ask, why do we call it Good Friday? It's a weird thing to name it, right? But it actually, the way we name it betrays the problem, which is that we, most of us, are really sort of interested in, we'll pass through Good Friday, but because we know of Easter Sunday. So we'll sort of do the pageantry and, go through the motions and even do like a tenebrae service where we start in light and descend to darkness, and right? We'll go through that sort of pageantry, but it's because we know there's a payoff on Easter Sunday. Like no one wants to live on Good Friday. We'll sort of begrudgingly journey through it or, use it as a stepping stone. But ultimately, we know that where we want to live as Easter people, we want to get to Easter Sunday. And we're in danger sometimes of fast forwarding through the Passion Week to get to Easter Sunday, where the good stuff is. But this year, I want to really invite you to enter in, not as a pageant or as play or as pretend. I actually want to offer you an invitation to doubt. Not to pretend to doubt or to, sort of play with it like Play-Doh or something. I really want to give you permission to give credibility to your doubts. Over the last 4 years here, and actually over the last 10 years before that, we have created, as a congregation, a culture. We call it Spiritual Oasis. That's sort of our moniker. But we have created a culture of conversation and of interacting with each other where we have a strong enough web of practices and relationships that I feel pretty confident in my role here to extend to you an invitation that as we enter into this Lenten season, to really bring your doubts. We can handle it together. The fabric of what we are as a community can handle the weight of your doubts. Now, I know that for some of you, this does not sound like a welcome invitation. This sounds like a dare or a threat or something unwelcome, like, hey, Pastor Bo, we just came through a really tough 2 years. Politics, our medical system, our economy, our relationships. How about this year we just take it easy on the whole doubt thing? I wouldn't blame you. If you don't respond to the invitation, I don't blame you. But I just want to extend to you the possibility that there might be life and faith on the other side of the valley of dry bones that you haven't imagined. Paul Ricoeur is one of my favorite thinkers, and he has a saying, beyond the desert of criticism, we long to be called. The thing about this call, because not all calls are created equal, the thing about this call is that you can't initiate. One of the things about belief is that you can drum up the enthusiasm, right? The will to believe. You can initiate and be the catalyst to drive yourself, right? Through practice, and through repetition, and through thoughtfulness, you can arrive at a different set of beliefs. What I'm talking about is something you can't initiate. You can't manufacture. It's a call that comes to you from the other side of this dry valley. And it's a call that's unlike other calls. For some of you, it would be a very welcomed call. Maybe you've been in a dry season for a long time. Maybe you've been asking big questions internally or even externally, and you were hoping that help was coming. But the longer you're in this season, and the longer you're in this place, the more you're starting to wonder if there isn't something on the other side. And maybe this is all there is. For others of you, maybe your faith had been going really well, or your life had been going really well, and then you got blindsided. Through illness, through the death of a loved one, through a relationship, through a circumstance of life, and you have been limping along. Thank God that you have been able to hold on to some kind of faith. But you have been limping along, and there is a dis-ease in you because you never wanted to be in this place anyway. And if it were up to you, you wouldn't be here. You didn't want that relationship to end. You didn't want that person to make that decision. You didn't want to lose that person you loved. And so there's an agitation about being stuck in this place, limping along. For others of you, you're thinking, I don't really see what the problem is. I'm doing pretty well. I don't know that I want to dabble in doubt. It seems like it could only get worse, and I'm sort of good with where I am. But my hope through this season, this study that we're going to go through, is that in the bearing of one another, the weight of doubt, that the fabric of our collective faith together is going to make our community, our congregation stronger, and it's going to create in us something that we could take out to our city, to our families, to our work networks, and that it would be received as a gift. Because not all faith is created equal. And a faith beyond doubt, after doubt, is a different kind of faith. So I just want to extend to you an invitation that whether you pick up this book and go through the study with us, or whether you just come and participate in the conversations, this Lenten season, I just want to invite you to really give credibility to your doubts, that they are not counter to your faith, but very much a good, healthy part of faith. Let's sit with this for a second.